All right, welcome back to the channel. So Tyson Fury is probably intending on mauling Deontay Wilder in this next fight and using a tremendous size advantage that he has, according to Sugar Hill. And I'm pretty certain he's going to do it in a way that is not actually legal. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So people that are familiar with this channel and the videos that I've done about Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury know that I believe Tyson Fury cheated in that second fight in a multitude of ways, and that Tyson Fury is the type of guy that is going to come into this fight with Deontay Wilder and he is going to attempt to get an unfair advantage, illegal unfair advantage again over Deontay Wilder, because that's what he did in the first fight. That's what he did in the second fight. And because there's not been a lot of, absolutely no pushback on him from any of the sanctioning bodies or mainstream media, that you can pretty much count on him doing it again. Deontay Wilder himself was in an interview not too long ago where they asked him, do you think Tyson Fury is going to come in and try to do some of the same things that he did before? And he was like, yes, obviously Tyson Fury is going to come in. He's going to have their master plan to cheat, and they're going to try to execute it. But, it's going to be up to Deontay Wilder to figure out what it is and be able to offset that, right? So Sugar Hill, who is the trainer of Deontay Wilder of Tyson Fury rather, out of the Crunk Gym, was talking about what Tyson Fury was going to do different this fight, and he said in this fight that Tyson Fury is going to come in 20 pounds heavier than he did the last fight. In the last fight, I think he came in somewhere around 260 pounds. I think maybe what they're saying is that he's going to try to come in around 280 pounds. I've heard people say, that they were going to try to come in there, at 300 pounds, right? In order to have an advantage over Deontay Wilder. Now, obviously, man, we're not playing football, right? So this is not somebody Deontay Wilder is not lining up on the line against Tyson Fury in a situation where Tyson Fury should be able to use his body weight to run through Deontay Wilder. But if you listen to what Tyson Fury taught, the way that Tyson Fury is talking about the fight, that's what he's talking about doing, saying he's just going to run through him like he's putting on extra weight so he can run through him like a train. And that just goes right back to, it reminds me of what he said he was going to do in the second fight. Like, no difference. He said that he was dipping his hand in brine, and that he was going to, he's coming in bigger and he was going to go run, he's going to go right to the center ring and run right at Deontay Wilder. And that's pretty much what he did. The only problem was that there was a whole lot of problems with stuff around him other than his body weight. Like, for example, the fact that his gloves looked like they didn't have very much padding in it. Also, when Tyson Fury did get next to Deontay Wilder, he absolutely positively used his weight, but he used his weight in a way that was illegal. You're not supposed to be able to punch past somebody, put them in a guillotine choke, lift them up and punch them in the lungs at the same time that you're choking them, right? So when they talk about coming in there at this weight, all this extra weight, right? In a fight that's 12 rounds where you have to be throwing punches and saying that they're going to go right for him, it just tells me that they're going to try to do the same thing that they did in the last fight, which was use a lot of on the basketball court, you call them old men tricks or whatever, but just a lot of dirty tactics to try to get over and to have an advantage over Deontay Wilder. Now, they've been allowing heavyweights for a while to do that. Some, the bigger heavyweights, like, I think it started with Vitaly Klitschko, who used to do that all the time when he's fighting a guy that was a smaller fighter. He would, as soon as he missed with the right hand, he would immediately jump on the back of the competitor and push him down. And the boxing and people that would watch that would talk about that as if that wasn't illegal. As if that's a tactic where you're supposed to be able to jump on the back and push down on the smaller guy. So I assume that is what Tyson Fury is talking about doing, because he's not that powerful a puncher. Even in the second fight where he hurt Deontay Wilder, it seemed early on in the fight, he never actually really hurt. He didn't wind up knocking out Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder just looked like he was out of it, and he was very, very tired, and he was definitely beaten up. But a lot of what contributed to him getting beaten up was what Tyson Fury was doing when he was in actual physical contact with him, as far as grabbing him and wrenching him and doing all kind of stuff like that. Now, do I think that that's going to be successful in this second fight? In the third fight, I hope that it's not. I do give credence to the things that Deontay Wilder said about the second fight. Specifically, I think there was just something really, really wrong with Deontay Wilder in that second fight. Guys like Robert Garcia, the brother of Mikey Garcia, trainer, world-renowned trainer, also said, he was like, man, something was not right about Deontay Wilder in that fight. When I was watching the fight with people were like, what's wrong with Deontay Wilder? Something looks like there's something wrong with him. Now, Deontay Wilder came out and said that what was wrong with him is that somebody put something in his water, right? And that, he felt really groggy. His legs were really, really heavy. And he just didn't understand at the time why he was feeling like that. And that's why he really could not react to Tyson Fury or, in the fight, right? So, I'm a type of guy that if I'm looking at somebody that has a history for cheating in the past and I have I'm going to trust that they're going to do the same thing that they've done in the past. And that is something that Tyson Fury has done in the past. People will say, oh, you're making excuses for Deontay Wilder to losing to him. And my response to that is no. I can point in other fights, included Tyson Fury, where Tyson Fury did those things and Deontay Wilder was not in the ring. As far as all the mauling and the illegal tactics with the mauling, all you got to go back is look at when he fought Steve Cunningham, and after Steve Cunningham knocked down Tyson Fury, what Tyson Fury immediately resorted to doing. And it was just a ton of fouls, grabbing him, hitting him behind the head, he wrenching his neck up, punching him while he's wrenching his neck up, basically cuffing his head, pushing his head down, holding it in place, releasing and punching at the same time. That's exactly what Steve Cunningham did what Tyson Fury did to Steve Cunningham. So as far as the gloves being funny and all that, that's what he did to Christian Hamer. As far as being on steroids, that's what he did to Christian Hamer, probably did to Vladimir Klitschko. So, I just don't expect in this weekend coming up for there to be a fair fight between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. I think Tyson Fury is just what he appears to be, and that is a dirty fighter. And he's a dirty fighter that people that have influence have a lot of money behind, and are not willing to point him out and call him out for what he is. I mean, even the way that he postponed the fight, when the fight was supposed to be in July, and he postponed the fight for whatever, it's been 2 months that he postponed the fight. Even that was underhanded tactics, apparently lying about having COVID just to move the date, man. And it's just, I have no faith in Tyson Fury having a fair fight with Deontay Wilder. And Deontay Wilder is most definitely going to have to be very prepared for whatever comes his way. And he's going to have to approach this fight as if it's a war and not a boxing match, because I don't think he's going to get a fair boxing match out of Tyson Fury. And I don't think that the mainstream boxing media even care if they get a fair fight, because like I've said, they paid no attention to these cheating issues. I know that there are going to be people in the comment section say, stop crying, you're making excuses ahead of time. No, I'm putting on the record ahead of time that I think that man's going to go in there and do that type of stuff, and that he's got something up his sleeve. It's not, he did something in the second fight. He did something in the first fight. He's done stuff in many fights before that. So I don't understand why anything would be different. And I think that if he's not able to actually tamper with his gloves, because I do believe they're going to be very much on those gloves, and those gloves should be on the up and up. So he's not going to have any artificially generated power. He's not going to be having his hands halfway down the ring, halfway down the glove, so he can hit him with bare knuckles. That he's going to have to resort to something else. And I do believe that the mauling aspect of it is probably what he's going to go to. And, and it's a shame, man, because Tyson Fury is a good boxer. I mean, he could box straight up, win a lot of rounds, but he's not going to leave it up to Deontay. He's not going to leave it up to chance whether or not Deontay Wilder is going to have the energy to follow through and knock him out in the late rounds. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.